Okay, I do not own this creepypasta, but, I'm just reading the creepypasta. Okay, we're going to be reading today Spongebobsupersponge.exe. This story has a few similarities with Sonic.exe creepypasta. I wanted to make the point. I just wanted to point out, before people go further, you just copied Sonic.exe creepypasta. And also, this is only made up. This isn't supposed to scare you away. Just be fun. Sure, pal. Whatever helps you sleep tonight. Fur-bearing brick. Interrupting about that. That is who created it. Okay, back to the story. It was a peaceful day as I was playing on my Xbox 360. I have recently bought a PlayStation 1 to play some of the old games I owned as a kid, such as Scooby-Doo and Super Chase, Spider-Man, the game, Crash Bandicoot, and my favorite, Spongebob SquarePants Super Sponge. I've beaten SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge at least 10 times. As I was playing Gears of War on my Xbox 360, the mailman passes by my house and drops off a few items. I paused my game to walk over to the mailbox. It was just junk. As I threw the mail away, I heard a sudden thud in the trash can. It was a letter of some sort of disc inside it. I picked it up to see what it was. First, there was a letter inside by my best friend Matt. I opened the letter and read this. I can't take it anymore. Ever since I downloaded this game, I've been experiencing the freakiest things. Horrible nightmare visions, all kinds of crazy stuff. It won't leave me alone anymore. It won't stop haunting me. Get rid of this disc. It won't let me get rid of it. Since I was foolish enough to play it, I warn you. As soon as you get this, do not play this game. If you do, it will track you down. Just burn it. Do whatever you want. Just don't play it. Your friend Matt. I was pretty confused for a minute. The letter looked like it was written fast. The freaky part was there was a tiny blood stain at the bottom where it says Matt. I picked up the disc. It read Spongebobsupersponge.exe. There was a small blood stain on that too. I wiped off the blood stain and read in red letters, "Play me now. Play me right now. You know you want to, Keith." I was horrified. How does it know my name? I said, sorry, didn't really read that right. Maybe Matt's pulling another prank on me. Maybe I should try the game out. So I started up my laptop and put it into my laptop. My laptop broke right down as it finished loading. I was very confused. Then I fixed up my laptop and went straight into the game. The intro to SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge played. Yes, my favorite game as a child, I exclaimed. The intro was mixed up, though. Some characters were missing. Mr. Krabs, Sandy, Barnacle Boy, Mermaid Man, Man Ray were not into the intro. Were not in the intro. Only SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Gary. The start screen showed up, and the music stopped out of nowhere. There was no music. I was confused. Then I realized that the game was a hack. I pressed start, and the freakiest thing came up. I couldn't get a screenshot of it, but it showed the skies that were all blood red, and the houses destroyed. And in the corner, it showed SpongeBob red, bulgy eyes, almost if he had pink eye. Similar to this picture I saw once. I forget what it was called, but it should be in a Creepypasta. He looked horrified in the picture, and he had a knife in his hand, looking as if he wanted to commit suicide. I was scared. I wanted to stop, but as a gamer, I kept on going. Then suddenly, a character select screen came up. I was like, what? This wasn't in the actual game? And confused me the most is the fact that the characters were SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Gary, and the Flying Dutchman. What? Since when can you play as the Flying Dutchman in a SpongeBob game? I said. Since the Flying Dutchman was my favorite boss in the game, I chose him. The level showed that it read Dead Bottom. I was pretty confused, but I went on. The level started off as just as the level and became bottom in the actual game. Except the sky was orange and the jellyfish were dead. If something crushed them. I started to move at a slow pace, and as the Flying Dutchman flew through Bikini Bottom, the buildings were crushed. All the enemies were dead and covered in blood. Then, when I came to the boss, the mother jellyfish was on the ground dying. It yelled for help. What? She can't talk! How is she yelling for help? I said. I flew over and she whispered in a screechy voice. Do not go any further. The iron. And as she said, she died. The iron dogfish? I said, of course! What other boss in the game can cause this? Then I completed the level. Or so I thought. Then the boss hints came up and it showed the iron dogfish, covered in blood, with red glowing eyes and bloody fangs. To interrupt the story for a minute, it will show this picture in the Creepypasta webpage at the beginning. Back to the story. Already, I said, the Flying Dutchman looked even looked horrified as the fight started. The iron dogfish started to run into me, but the Flying Dutchman disappeared. Did I do that? I asked myself. Then he reappeared. The iron dogfish was gone, but his health was still up full. What should I do? I asked myself. Then out of nowhere, the iron dogfish came up to me and slashed me. It actually did damage. What the heck? He's a ghost! That should be nothing to him. Then the iron dogfish began to speak. Let's play a game, Key. I was horrified. Then the screen moved to the next level. It said, tag. It started off as the Flying Dutchman looking horrified. He started to fly throughout the stage. It looked similar to the lava fields level in the actual game, except it had blood everywhere and dead enemies. Then the boss level to the subshark came up. Something's not right, I said. I began to fight the subshark. It was pretty easy, since I was the Flying Dutchman. Then, right as I was about to kill him, iron dogfish came out of nowhere and tore up the subshark into pieces. Like, it scared the crap out of me. The iron dogfish suddenly started to teleport out of nowhere. I was confused. He can't teleport, I explained. I exclaimed, I mean. Sorry. Okay, I'm not really reading well. Then he teleported in front of the Flying Dutchman and exclaimed, found you! The screen went black, and screeching was heard. It stayed like that for about 10 seconds, and it then read in bloody letters, "Want to continue, Keith?" I wanted to stop. I was ready to just take the game and burn it. I kept going. Then the character select came back up, except the Flying Dutchman wasn't there. Then decided to pick Squidward. almost if it's not creepy enough. Hint, hint. The level start screen then popped up and said, "There's no hope." It then went to the inside the whale level, except bones cracked apart and the enemies were dead. And the music sounded like it was playing in reverse. Squidward looked horrifying, and then he started to sob. I then made him move forward, and the music got creepier and creepier as I kept going, as if it was starting to mix up. Then the boss level against parasitic worm came up, except on the boss fence, the worm was trapped everywhere. He looked as if it was just a red parasitic worm. Then as I entered the boss level, he was already dead, but the hope was up. Then out of nowhere, the iron dogfish came up from the entrance. I then realized I had to fight him. I tried to find a way. Then I found out that Squidward plays clarinet. That's it! Oh! I then made him blow the clarinet on the iron dogfish. It did damage on him. I repeated the cycle until I finally defeated him. Yes! I did it! I did it! Then the screen cut to black, and screeching was heard for about 5 seconds. Then it said in bloody letters. Then it said in bloody letters. But I did keep. Try again. I then went on. Squidward was gone. I then chose Gary the snail. It then said on the level start screen, hide and seek. Then it showed Gary and said, SpongeBob's house, where there were blood stains on the wall. And the ending credits to the SpongeBob show was played in reverse. Gary looked horrified. Then I made him move. He slithered out of SpongeBob's house until Gary found SpongeBob sobbing in a corner. Then Gary moved by himself. I realized this was a cutscene. Gary was about to touch SpongeBob's shoulder, and SpongeBob looked at Gary with bloodshot eyes from the beginning. Gary, help me. And SpongeBob said, Gary began to slither away fast. To interrupt, I'm literally crying tears. Back to the story. Then the door shut out of nowhere. Then the iron dogfish suddenly burst out of SpongeBob. I will make you suffer! He exclaimed. Then the screen went black, and screeching was heard once again. And it said in bloody red letters, "You're pathetic! I can't wait until you're done!" Then it came to the character select screen, and all that was left was SpongeBob and Patrick. Sorry, I had to wipe the tears off my microphone. I then chose Patrick. It then said on the level screen, "You're almost out of time." Then it went into the thermal tunnels level. And yet again, there were few bloodstains, dead enemies, and the music was in reverse. Patrick looked confused and horrified at the same time. I then made him move. There was nothing but straight walking for about 2 minutes. It came to an end, and the boss, hence, didn't even show up. It just went to the boss level, and I found out that Patrick had the ability belly bounce. So I tried belly bounce on the iron dogfish, but he disappeared and laughed. It kept going for a while. Patrick started to sob and exclaim, "SpongeBob, where are you?" "Don't worry, Patrick. You'll see him soon." Then the screen went black and screeching was heard. Then it said in bloody letters, one character left. "Oh, this is gonna be so much fun!" Well, but I'm afraid I cannot. I'm confused. Then I moved on. All that was left was SpongeBob. Last part of the story. Hang in there. I then chose SpongeBob. It said on the level start screen, "Final level of your life!" Went to the place where you originally fight the iron dogfish. Hold on. Except there were no air vents, just buttons. Then there were rivers of blood in the background, and the Giants theme. The second part began to play. SpongeBob was more horrified than ever. I fought him. I somehow did damage on him using the karate glove, which honestly is kind of weird though, because honestly, you acquire that move, you don't automatically have it. making sense of the creepypasta. Okay, anyways, sorry. Then, when his health ran out, it regenerated and became huge! 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 He almost took him from the screen. I tried to attack him, but he was invulnerable. Then the Iron Dogfish yelled at the top of his lungs, "Game over!" Instead, SpongeBob had the bloodshot eyes from the beginning. Then after that, the computer crashed. Man, there's one freaky hacked game. How could Matt possibly make this? I was confused. Then I pried out the disc and threw it away. It was then 11:29 p.m. So I was tired. I decided to go to bed. Then I had I had a horrible nightmare about the game. I couldn't explain it. The next morning I woke up and noticed the disc on top of the TV. Oh, didn't I throw it out? Then I turned around and saw a SpongeBob plush and the Iron Dogfish plush with bloodshot eyes covered in blood. To be continued. Well, that's it. That's it for the story. Thank you for listening to this creepypasta reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I want to sum it up real quick. However, have to say, this, if you notice the website of what I'm reading is considered, if you notice the website that I'm reading of it, it's considered troll pasta, which is honestly weird, because honestly for me, I think this is definitely creepypasta. And besides, I don't really get the whole thing with the trolls. I mean, like, what is a troll? And that, you know, just, like, you know, so, I consider it creepypasta, but no one else has read this, so, well, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day.